that well. This is my very first one. So anyway, yeah, all kinds of stuff happened to me, and there's so many rabbit trail little stories, like the one with Ray. I met this guy Ray when I was living in uh, Cottage Grove for 5 days, and I met Josh, who turned out to Ray turned out to be one of my best friends too. I was at the little restaurant they have in Cottage Grove. It's called Down the Street, and it's a really really good bar. If you're ever in Houston, go to Down the Street. It's a great little place. And I met this guy named Ray, and he was different demographic than me in every way. He's 31 years old. Just a little bit older than my own children. His parents don't speak any English, or they used to not speak English. I mean, they're from Mexico, so he grew up in an East Houston kind of a culture, very very Hispanic deal. He's a cool cat though. He made some great businesses, and he got wiped out by Hurricane Harvey. But he kind of he's kind of a mover and a shaker, and he knows people in the street. He's like Huggy Bear, and so he's very well connected. He's always doing something, this and that. He's got a lot of good energy. So we hit it off, and then a couple of weeks went by, and he called me up on a Saturday night, and he says, "Hey Larry, I'm gonna go see my buddy that lives in L.A." He called it L.A. L.A. and and before that, I'd been praying for something. I'd been praying for some sort of trip, because everything that I've read um, about post divorce, this is like when I'm doing my divorce research. Everything said, take a trip, take a trip, take a trip, take a trip. But COVID put the hammer down on that. There was no trip taking. But I kept praying about it. It's like I just kept praying, okay, what is that trip? Okay, so that was going on in the background. And then I get to the point where I'm talking to Ray on Saturday night, and I say, yeah, he goes, hey, yeah, I just want to know, because you traveled a lot. I just want to know what to expect, what I'm going to do. What I said, where are you going to go? And he goes, I'm going to LA. That's where my buddy lives from high school. And I'm thinking, okay. And then I said, when are you going? He goes, tomorrow. I'm going tomorrow. I'm like, and then all of a sudden it's like bing, bing, bing. It's like what I've been praying about, that trip. This was it. It was very clear to me. God was saying to me, you've been asking me what that trip is. This is that trip. And so I said to Ray, hey, would you mind if I joined you going out there? And I would go out there with you, and I will stay a couple days. I know you're there to see your buddy, and then I'll just get on a plane and come back. And he goes, dude, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, so I said, you're leaving tomorrow, huh? This is like 8 o'clock at night on a Saturday night, and he's going to leave the next morning. I said, hey, I tell you what. And the next morning was Mother's Day, and I told him, I said, Ray, you can't leave on Mother's Day. You can't go on Mother's Day. You have to be with your mom. And he goes, oh, no, no, no. She celebrates Mexican Mother's Day. This doesn't mean anything to her. I'm like, I don't know, Ray. She's been here since you were born. And so anyway, he stayed. And so Monday, we were going to go early Monday, but Sunday night he came over to my place, and we partied down until like 4 in the morning, Monday morning. And I don't know, by the time about like noon, we got out of the house, and we're supposed to make it to El Paso that night. And then he still has to get new tires on his truck and all this stuff. And so we ended up leaving Katy at 3:30 in the afternoon to go to LA. I couldn't believe it. I was going on this road trip with this guy. He's driving. Something got caught in my throat. 2006 4Runner, which is actually a pretty badass truck. I'd love to have that truck. 2006 4Runner is what we went. When we went out there, as we're going out there, we caught the truck on fire. Uh, we lost a tire. All kinds of stuff was happening. I remember when we were smoking like chimneys though, the two of us, when we were going out there, and I started smelling this weird smell, like acrylic burning, like plastic burning. And I was just thinking, well, it's his truck, surely he knows he knows what's good and what's not good, and what smells are good and what smells are not good. So I didn't say anything, and then all of a sudden, we get, the thing is starting to get hot and it's starting to smoke. It was just like planes, trains, and automobiles. So all kinds of stuff was happening that day, and then all of a sudden we went into. I said, "Look, let's just stay. We're trying to get to El Paso, but we stayed in a place called Iran, Texas, Iran, I think." And I don't know what the hell. I mean, he went 20 miles off the freeway to stay at this place. So I wasn't paying. I was probably sleeping. So anyway, we went there and we ordered a pizza on the way there. So we got our pizza and we went right next door to the Valero station. The Domino's and the Valero were sort of one store. And then we went to the motel. We had one of these motels. It was like a U shape, like old motel with the pool in the middle, and then the office right on the side. And we stayed there. We got our pizza. We got our beer. It had been a really hard day driving. And we got in there and we opened the beer and we had the pizza. And all of a sudden, and we have the door open in the motel. We're just standing out on the balcony, and all of a sudden it just starts raining like crazy. I mean, just dogs and cats raining. And it was a spiritual moment because I looked at Ray and he's going, and then the last half of the show, we're not talking to each other because we're both like deep in our grief because he had just got divorced too. That was the thing that bonded us together. He was newly divorced. I forgot to say that part. But anyway, um, I just looked at him and we've got this cold beer and this hot pizza. We've had this bitch of a day. And we left Katie at 3 in the morning, and all of a sudden it's like the middle of the night here in this place, in somewhere in West Texas, Iran, and the rain is just pouring down. And I looked at Ray and I said, you know what? This is no accident. Because that rain just started. It was just like a downpour out of nowhere. And I said, Ray, this rain is from God, and He's washing all this bullshit away from us. And there will never be a lower point on this whole trip or with me and you than there was today, because we're going nothing but up today. And Ray looked at me and he goes, I feel it too. I feel it, man. He goes, there's this energy. I said, yeah, it's God. It's God talking to us. So yeah, we went to bed, and the next day we got our muffler fixed, and we got a new tire, and they were both in Fort Stockton, and they were right across the street from each other. And it's that point during that process I learned how much extra money I've spent by being white than I would have by being Mexican, because the guy started off with a tire at $300 that was going to need a replacement, and Ray is like, "No, speaking in Spanish and yelling at the guy in Spanish, and then all of a sudden it's down to $40 from 340, and the same with the muffler guy. It started at $600, and Ray got him down to 60, and I'm like, and it was all because of Spanish. And Ray gets under there and he looks at it and he's just calling bullshit on the guy, and And also, yeah. So anyway, that was a pretty thing. I was trying to like, what would be the amount of money that I that I didn't need to spend anyway. So yeah, so we went, and so then we're going over the hill, the Tehachapi Pass, not Tehachapi Pass. It's the one between uh oh man, it's on the I-10 coming into the LA basin. Then all of a sudden you can go to LA or you can go to beach cities, Orange County. And I we had to make a choice. I go, Ray, I said, where does your friend live? Because this whole time I'm thinking his buddy and this buddy, in LA. And I'm thinking, we're going to East LA. And this is going to be a scene from Training Day when we get there, because Ray's going to introduce me to his buddies and then he's just going to disappear. And it's going to be like, I'm going to be Ethan Hawke with these Mexican guys. So anyway, I said, what is the address of this, Ray? And he gave me his buddy's address. And I look at it and I go, this isn't LA at all. And people that don't know LA, they think everything in Southern California is LA. But if you've lived there, it's like there's LA, there's Orange County, there's even in Orange County, it's all split up like Newport Beach and Laguna and Inland and all this. And so it's just 20 different places, 100 different places you can live in Southern California. I go, what is the address? They gave me the address, and it's 1 block away from the pier in Huntington Beach. So he's in a mid rise in Huntington Beach, 1 block off the Huntington Beach pier. The guy was named Josh. And we get there like 4 in the morning. We drive, oh, yeah, after that motel in West Texas, we go straight through and get there at 4 in the morning. And this guy was cool AF, Josh. He lived in the mid rise. I mean, he was nothing like. I mean, yeah, he was Ray's friend and everything, but he had a job at like I think he was working at Schlumberger, or I mean, he had like big corporate job, and I was impressed. And just the stuff that went on in the next 4 or 5 days is a whole 2+ hours of stuff because there were some amazing things and coincidences and relationships built and fun times. And I mean, I don't think there was ever a better trip in my life than that trip. It was just so much fun, and I've traveled a lot. I've gone to 45 countries and probably triple that in cities. So anyway, that was good. So I flew back after a while, and that was the Ray chapter. And then Ray and I stayed in touch for a while, and then we just eventually lost. I mean, we were both, neither one of us were working, and then he at some point needed to work, and I needed at some point needed to work, and then we just kind of split up. I'm gonna check this tape one more time to see if it's going.